Dakota time.
Metalworks, Crumbs, County.
I can tell the door first, I was like, oh, we're second coming with you.
Call the meeting to order. First item on the agenda is approval of the agenda.
Make a motion, we approve the agenda.
Second.
Been moved and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion passes. Next item is the consent agenda.
Is this on the consent agenda? The amended consent agenda?
The new,
The third one,
the late
yes.
ad.
Okay, I move we approve the amended consent agenda.
The consent agenda, yeah.
Yeah.
Is there a second? Moved and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion passes. Next is it looks like we have Gina. Do you want to speak to the council on something not on the agenda?
Hi, good evening. Thanks for being here during summer and especially a holiday week coming up. I'm Gina Montalbano Zessiger, so I am a local business owner that participates in your evening Baldwin markets, but I am also running for the State Board of Education. So my husband and I own Z&M Twisted Vines. We're a farm winery. I know some of the familiar faces in the room. And so I just wanted to come address everyone and let you know that I have been to Baldwin school board meetings. We were just, my husband and I both, Brian Zessiger is running for the state Senate for District 9. So his District 9 fits inside of District 4, which is what I'm running for on the State Board of Education. And so we both today were able to announce that NEA, the National Education Association, has endorsed the both of us. And so we want to share that. We both believe, and I'm here to share that, how the city works together with the school districts go hand in hand, and we've been attending meetings here and there already, so you may have seen Brian out here already. So we just wanted to come in. I just wanted to introduce myself officially and hopefully get you out to vote or let patrons know that the primary elections are very important, and so August 6th will be a big day for us, and hopefully we can get some good choices supporting kids in schools and our communities. Thank you for letting me chat.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else like to speak to something that's not on the agenda? Seeing none. Old business. I put the PCA ordinance. As you notice, there's no ordinance in your packet. We kind of decided to go ahead and just keep it on the agenda, so when we finally get there, we're ready for it, and to get any council feedback from the work session at the last week on what the PCA was. Scott, fill in anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, it was in the slide deck that Amber sent to you. There's a tail end of that if you really want to dive into actually the wording of the old ordinance and the proposed new wording, and then the formula. So it's there if you want to look at it before we vote on it, potentially on the 16th. The reality is, we talked about it, it's a minor tweak that needs to be done.
Yeah, I was gonna ask if it was updated, but it hasn't been,
What's that?
the numbers. We talked about at the meeting.
Did you get the one, Emerson? There's a third slide. One more. There you go. You got it.
So it's this number instead of the 661 number? I'm sorry.
That's all right.
This one?
Which one? What's the question?
No.
So that's, we'll talk about it when we get to, so keep that up. We'll talk about it when we get to committee.
Thanks.
Is there anybody from the public like to speak to this agenda item? Seeing none. Council discussion. So I think the plan, and Scott, correct me if I'm wrong, the committee's going to discuss it at their committee meeting on Friday. One more time, we'll get an ordinance put together, bring that at the next council meeting with essentially it's just swapping out the formulas that you all saw in the work session.
Okay.
Any other comments? So this is a non-action item. Okay, if nothing further on that. We'll go to new business, planning commission appointment. So I am recommending the council approve Kelsey Mullis to replace Joe Saiba on the planning commission. Kelsey's here tonight to introduce himself briefly. I'll ask you to step up. But Kelsey is a local contractor here in Baldwin City. So if you want to just come up, introduce yourself to the council.
Good evening. My name is Kelsey Mullis. I am Vice President of Grip Plains Construction, doing business as Mullis Enterprises.
What enterprises? I'm sorry, what enterprises?
Mullis Enterprises Incorporated. I have roughly 25 years in the construction industry, ranging from hit TV shows to major commercial, all the way down to little bathroom remodels for grandmothers, that sort of thing. So I look forward to the opportunity to be a part of this commission, and I will endeavor to provide valuable insight to what comes next. Thank you.
Any questions for Kelsey?
Appreciate you stepping up. With your knowledge base, it'll be tremendous.
We'll see.
Depends on how you do it. It can't hurt.
All right. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kelsey.
Anybody from the public like to speak to this agenda item? Seeing none, council discussion?
I think the nomination will be awesome for the position. I still kind of fall back on, I wish that it would be opened up to the public, like on our website or something, whenever there's an opening. I know you nominate people, but I think we get more people involved.
So I do appreciate that, and we've discussed this back and forth. The planning commission is just, it's different. I mean, because we have certain positions that have to reside outside of the city limits.
Right.
We have certain positions that have to reside within the city limits. So,
Right, but that could be information on the website also, so that they would know whether they fit into that category. Just my idea.
any other comments?
I kind of agree with that. That it should be open for other people to nominate or to come in and volunteer. I suppose that, but I'm not glad against it.
Would assume you would do something along the lines, if we're struggling to get qualified candidates, you almost have to do something to throw a wider.
Yeah.
As long as I think, I'm good, as long as we get qualified candidates to step up and move in there, okay with whatever process you have going.
I've never had an issue with it, just because I understand from our last discussion about the planning commission was that it does require a specific set of knowledge in order to fill that seat. It's not like a general election could solve, the issues that are needed when you're put to that. Like, you need people who understand contracting, understand code, understand local code especially. So I just kind of, I guess if we got to a point where we were dried up, then
Yeah, that would be
Yeah.
different, but yeah, it's very specific, so.
But those are things that can be weeded out by the council if there were more nominees.
I mean, we can. I mean, we just voted on it. We can vote no
Yeah.
if we didn't like the candidate. Or
Yes.
didn't they have an experience or.
You don't have to pick who,
Right. Yeah.
but, Scott's got a point.
I don't know that we need to be involved in the vetting process. I mean, it's one more thing that we take on that I'm not sure there's any extra value in. When we have the final say anyway.
Yeah.
So you can do what you want to do that way, right? It's like, well, I don't think you're qualified, and vote that way.
But on the other hand, there may be a lot of people out there that have the qualifications, but don't know that there's an opening, because I didn't even know there was an opening until Casey told me the other day. So I'm just saying that if you want transparency, then I think you should be able to let people know that there is an opening there available.
I actually didn't know until right now.
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to bring it up. It doesn't matter at this point, but
Right, no.
in the future.
And Who's leaving when we make another appointment?
Joe Saw, he's replacing Joe Saw's position. The council asked a year ago to start replacing some of these commissioners that have been on there for 15, 20 years.
I think it's a good idea.
That's what we're trying to work through.
Yeah.
With that, I'll entertain a motion.
I move to appoint Kelsey Mullis to the Baldwin City Planning Commission.
Second.
Moved and second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion passes. Next, electric rate ordinance. So this is again, one of those that, since we just had a work session on it last week, we wanted to go ahead and put it on the council agenda so that if council members had any more thoughts, or the public that might have been listening to the work session had any thoughts, that we had an opportunity to hear those thoughts before we kind of put everything in an ordinance structure. With that, is there anybody from the public like to speak to this agenda item? Seeing none? Any council discussion, any further thoughts on what we covered last
Well, I
week?
think what we came out of that work session with was we wanted to see what it would look like with a 5% increase July 1 and another 5 October 1, with 5%. And then kind of estimates on 25 and 26. So Ben and Baker Tilly put this together, and that's the new slide that was added to the workshop slide, slide 10. And you can see, kind of did the math, on the 5 and 5 for the next 6 months. And so one of the things that we, if you go up to this, where we kind of got misinterpreted what he was saying. If you look at that first one, the first proposed or option, 10% increase, second half, we noticed the end cash balance was not where the policy is for our reserve fund, and we got confused. So basically what that option would not keep us in policy on that 10% increase for second half of 24. And that's what that is showing. So really on the, just because we can't share with everybody, but really again, 5% retroactive July 1st this year increase, another 5% starting October 1st. You can see what our proposed end cash balance and reserves are for 24. And then just estimating, again, expenses and things that for 25 and 26, you would look at another 14% increase potentially in 25 and 8 in 26 to keep the reserve fund in the policy, minimum policy balance. So that's what I think everybody decided what they wanted to see coming out of that work session, and that's what you have before you.
I'll give this some thought. I'm not fighting what you've done. I appreciate what you've done. You guys have really worked hard to put this together to make it work, and you got something that's gonna work without a doubt. But I was thinking if you did 6 in July and 6 again in October, that you're going to recover our savings account, or what do we call it?
Reserve.
The reserve account is going to increase faster at a more level. And then the next time you increase, only go by 3%. And when it comes time for the 2% that we had figured, you may not have to do it, because that's going to be about the same time that the GRD goes away, isn't it?
Well, it's when we have the opportunity to
Well,
renew it or
We
find
have
something
to,
else.
we have to replace it with
Right.
something, either itself, renew that contract, or something else.
Yeah, but, yeah,
And-
that's true.
And the likelihood of our power costs being less than they are currently are, I think, very low.
But even at that, you'd have a 3% and then a 2% instead of a 5% and a 2%.
Not following you.
You had 6% in July, 6% in October, that's 12%, then you'd have 3% left.
Now that's a compounding issue. I don't think it's that simple where you just add it up to trying to get 17 over 3 years. So to answer I guess what you mentioned was doing 6 and 6, these succeed. So, to, you know, get the reserve to where it needs to be, if you look at what's proposed on the 5 and 5, we're above, you know, the minimum reserve already with just 5 and 5. So we don't need to add it to stay within the reserve policy this year. And that'll give us, you know, what, 3 or 4 months to look at what 2025 looks like and then make the adjustment there
But
for January 1st.
to be a little further ahead than what you have listed
Yeah.
might not be too bad an idea.
Well, and that's absolutely a viable option. In my mind, it's, you know, can we ramp this as slowly as possible? You know, if we can stay as low as possible this year, and ramp up next year, it would make that ramp slightly smaller next year. But we really don't even know, you know, for sure what next year looks like. So that's what the budget workshop is Tuesday. We'll get an idea what the expense, you know, the budget looks like for 2025. And at that point, if it's, you know, that may dictate, hey, we may want to do more this year and less next year. But until we see what that is, I think it just, you know, we're not going to vote on it tonight anyway, but
Well, sure.
we got to get to where we're covering our expenses. But you don't have to do it all at once. What we're trying to do is stay within policy and get to it over a period of time while we're staying within policy.
It's kind of like any other business. You need to cover your expenses, but you also need to put a little back in the account.
That's what the reserve is.
Yes.
And so, again, we have a policy that says you need to be within 15 to 25% of your expenses. And what we're showing here is we're a little above 15% at the end of this year, which means we don't have to raise the rates quite as much next year because we can eat that reserve back down to the 15%, right? So what you're seeing here is a little above 15% this year and then 15% reserve projected for next year, 50% reserve projected for 26, while covering your expenses.
And what's the goal?
Is that?
What's the goal?
Well, the goal is just to stay within
What's
that
the end
reserve.
goal? What's the end?
End goal is
reserve?
to cover our expenses with the utility rates.
And
Stay within the reserve
And how
policy.
much in reserve?
Well,
The
that
15%.
fluctuates each year.
Huh?
That fluctuates each year. 15 to
Percentage.
25% is our reserve
Right.
policy.
So as our expenses go up, their reserve goes up.
Just throwing it out.
Yeah, no, it's like I said, we could do it all right now and get
Just
to
how
where we
aggressive
need to
you
be.
wanna
And it'd be extremely painful jump in 1 month. So I'd rather personally try to spread that out, kind of let everybody know we're behind. And you all heard why we're behind. We were just using reserves for the past number of years, haven't raised the rates in 15 years. So it finally caught up to us last year. Should have raised it this year. We didn't, and so we're behind. We're trying to catch that, stay within reserve, but this increase in the second half, then we got to continue to increase them to where we meet our expenses plus reserve. It's painful, but it's really that simple.
Thanks for my time.
Any other council discussion on this agenda item? Seeing none? All right. Next agenda item, KMGA Board of Directors appointments. Glenn, you want to explain this?
Yeah, I'm currently on the KMGA Board of Directors. I think it's a 3-year term. You always have one permanent, one alternate on KMEA or KMGA, so my term is coming up here, so this is just a renewal of that term. So the duties are basically to attend a couple meetings a year for KMGA's Board of Directors at their annual meeting. That's it. That's all we do.
Any council discussion on this agenda item? Any comments from the public on this agenda item? Seeing none? Entertain a motion if there's no discussion.
I move to appoint City Administrator Glenn Lyden to another term on the Board of Directors
Second.
for KMGA.
Been moved and second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
I,
All opposed, nay. Motion Motion passes. Council committee reports, budget and finance, Scott.
Yeah, we did meet and spent the time preparing for the electric utility workshop that we went through. Our next meeting is this Friday, 7:30 a.m., second floor, City Hall. And we have a budget workshop next Tuesday, 7 p.m. at the police department.
Community development, Corey.
We did not meet. Our next meeting is July 22nd, 4 o'clock, second floor, City Hall.
Public safety, Susan.
We have not met. Our next meeting is July 9th at 4 o'clock.
Public works, Julie.
It's in there.
Good.
It's in there.
We didn't meet either. Our next meeting is July 11th at 9 o'clock.
Strategic planning, Scott.
We did not meet. Don't have a meeting on the calendar. Did we do the employee survey get administered? Employee survey went out, so we'll look for results in a couple of weeks.
Deadline for response will be next Friday.
Okay.
And then it'll probably be about 2 weeks after that before we get a final report.
We'll come back to the council for review. We'll let you know when we plan to meet again.
Administrator staff comments.
Nothing further.
Scott, already mentioned the budget work session. That's the only other comment I had.
I have a question. I saw the fireworks thing for this year, where they can't shoot them off after the 4th,
Yes.
right? Can they not sell them after the 4th either?
Correct.
They didn't say, and so I was wondering.
Yeah, I think we'll change that ordinance to end on the 4th of it.
Okay, well, I looked up the ordinance that we did and it doesn't say.
About selling.
It doesn't say about shooting off on the 4th and it doesn't say to not sell them. I mean,
I thought it did when we passed it last year.
I looked it up and I didn't see it in there. I could be wrong, but.
We'll have an AMR pull it.
We'll take a look.
Okay.
I need to make sure it's in there.
Yeah.
Because, yeah,
Can I make I don't know, we haven't pulled up, but there very well may not have been updated on the online website. I'm not sure if that would be, if it's pulling up an old one,
Yeah.
then that might be the issue. It's just a submission to whoever the provider is who does the ordinance website. But that did include, it was changed last year after the 4th. I
Right.
think that was the meeting after the 4th, we modified it
Yeah.
to end on the 4th.
That was a moving target depending on when the 4th lands.
Correct, that's.
So,
I did
It's
have
like
to-
Easter. You gotta time it with the
I did have
moons.
to email them and make a correction,
what's that?
because there was a wrong, I think there was a number that was incorrect or something that they did just correct recently. But I just pulled it up and both discharge and fireworks are, through the 4th. Signposting. Oh, signposting is incorrect. On there.
Any other council comments? Sure.
I heard the Tesla was on a wrecker truck. What happened to it?
Got a flat tire.
Had a flat tire and I had to tow it?
Well, have you had a new car since 1970 something?
1956.
Okay. Well, not many of them come with spare tires anymore.
I went to use my
Is that
wife's
what
new car to
happened?
jump a
That's-
battery and I
that's-
couldn't find the battery.
I'll leave it run plants.
They had
It was
special
a bunch of
phones.
panels.
Yeah, so it had in part of our warranty with Tesla, they tow it and fix it and replace it.
And where did it go?
Goes to the Tesla store, Kansas City.
In Kansas City? And they pay for that?
Tesla
Tesla
does.
pays for that?
Mhm.
They pay for the tire too?
I don't know about the tire, if it's prorated or what, but they pay for the towing.
Just to be clear, the flat tire had nothing to do with it being an electric vehicle.
Correct.
Just want to be on record with that.
I
Saw some Facebook.
I actually called,
Good
I
idea.
called Chief Patrick today specifically to ask.
Can we get a spare and keep it on hand?
Chief is looking into that to keep one at the PD, yes.
Has it got normal lug nuts and stuff on it so you can change it?
I don't know, it might have been, made
Well, you
in the
had one, now you
universe
jack it
somewhere,
up. You
Jerry.
jack it up just like you do any other?
What?
How you
Can't
jack it up like any
Well,
other?
there's specific places you can jack it up because the whole undercarriage is a battery.
Well, I'm asking that question.
But no, it had nothing to do with the battery of the flat tire.
We haven't met,
Very true.
with CDC to talk about it a little bit. I know we're kind of getting close to the end, but, do we have an update on the community center as far as progress, expected opening date?
I was
Have we
told
got
that
an
they're hoping to still have it completed by August 1. I was told that the rec is hoping to be moved in around late August, so Matt had mentioned to me possibly doing an open house like the weekend before Labor Day, but
Okay.
until we know for sure.
For our purposes, when would we, selfishly, when would we move out of here and into there?
I think our first meeting in August possibly could be in there if it's
Right.
completed.
Wow.
I'd look more for the second, but we could, and then they're projecting the end of
It'll
July.
save us from putting tables up.
Yeah.
Worst case, it's exactly like this.
Yeah, the dais and all that,
Right now.
Except the tables are permanent.
right,
I mean,
right, they are permanent, and that's already built. That's
Yeah.
already, they're
They
doing
put the
the,
countertop on it.
audio.
Yeah.
Nice.
I mean, that may not be available, but
Right.
we don't have it today. We're fine.
Right, so, yeah, everything else is actually being installed, so, yeah, they're getting very close to finishing the whole project.
No, yeah.
So hopefully, first or second meeting in August.
Not just for our purposes, but for the people watching and listening, it's gonna be a lot more clear and visually more easy to watch.
So do we have a contract from the rec? As far as
We do not have a contract yet, do we, from the rec?
No, not yet.
We're still working on it. Yeah, I think they're trying to get through 4th of July, honestly.
I hope the acoustics is better there than it is here.
Well, it's a gymnasium, so probably not.
But they,
The
there'll be
sound,
microphone
people at
equipment will be
home.
better,
Yeah,
yeah.
microphones and there'll be speakers.
Yeah.
You will have a microphone right in front of you that is smart, that will pick you up
I
when
mean,
you're
I get to
talking.
talk a lot.
So I can change what you say?
Yeah. It's just going to change the people at home can hear you better, Jerry.
Only it had a filter on it.
AI Jerry Smith.
It's a smart mic, so
That's right.
you don't have to turn it
His
on.
eyes lit up.
Man, this is gonna be fun.
It's gonna be something. Any other council comments? So we do need an executive session tonight, for probably 20 minutes, let's say, for land acquisition. So, with Dakota and Glenn. Council.
I move we adjourn into executive session at 7:29 for the purpose of discussing land acquisitions with council, 7K. Okay, so ended at 7:50. Okay, got it. At 7:28, purpose of land acquisition with city council, mayor, city attorney, and city administrator, and return at 7:50.
Second.
Moved and second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion passes. We're in executive session. This, she's got a picture of it at Hayes Medical Center. I was there for my mom's heart attack. I was like, oh, that's, what's her name from Wellsville? Who did that? Grandma Lee.
Sure.
Call the meeting back to order at 7:50. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I know you're.
Second. Move to second to adjourn. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed